Chronic Myelogenous Leukemia by Jasmine, Sydney, Neil, and Jamie.
What do these two people have in common, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Tamara Simpson from Iowa? Well, they are both survivors of the disease of chronic myelogenous leukemia, or in short, CML. To briefly provide a definition, CML is a type of cancer that starts in certain blood-forming cells of the bone marrow, shown here, which is a short fat tissue substance in bones where blood cells are produced. We'll get into the specifics later in the video.
Let's break down chronic myelogenous leukemia. Chronic means mature, myelo means bone marrow, leu means white blood cells, and emia means in blood.
Now, before going into the specifics, let's discuss cell-to-cell signaling in general. As you can see in these diagrams, cells communicate by sending and receiving signals to one another, which move from one protein to another, and this simulates a response. The response of the cell changes the cell because it receives signal, and this change allows the cell to survive in the changing outside state. However, if normal cell-to-cell signaling occurred, CML wouldn't be a huge problem. The problem that takes place with cell signaling to cause CML is when the cell grows and divides. CML is caused when too many white blood cells is produced in the bone marrow, as shown in this picture. While the cell is receiving signals, and this will not be able to control cell growth and division in CML, the result is an abundance of white blood cells, as shown in this picture. Eventually, the cell loses control, and these white blood cells can grow and divide without a signal.
Chronic myelogenous leukemia is caused by a translocation mutation. A portion of chromosome 9 and chromosome 22 switch places. The translocation results in a fusion of the ABL gene from chromosome 9 and the BCR gene from chromosome 22. The fusion gene codes for a signaling protein, tyrosine kinase, that triggers the uncontrolled production of white blood cells.
The Philadelphia chromosome, which is also known as the tyrosine kinase enzyme, attaches to the ATP molecule, and this reaction allows for the increase in leukemia cells.
Tyrosine kinase activates many signaling pathways in leukemic cells. The BCR-ABL gene fuses to form a tyrosine kinase receptor. This receptor sends signals to other proteins such as STAT5 and P13K. These proteins then transmit the signals to the nucleus. This results in transcription for inhibition of cell death or drug resistance.
CML has 3 stages. The first stage is the chronic stage. The second is the accelerated stage, and third is the blast stage. The symptoms of chronic myelogenous leukemia depend on what phase you're in. In the chronic phase, this is the earliest phase and is the easiest to treat. You may not even have symptoms, which is why the illustration looks normal. However, in some cases, you could have a fever. In the accelerated phase, you are more likely to notice some of these symptoms: being very tired, having a fever, bruising, night sweats, shortness of breath, surprising weight loss, bleeding, which is shown with red dots, swelling on pain on your left side, which could be due to a enlarged spleen or an enlarged liver. The blast stage is the most serious stage of CML. The leukemia cells grow and crowd out the unhealthy blood cells and platelets. Those blood cells and platelets are produced in bone marrow. In this phase, you are more likely to have severe symptoms, including infections, bleeding, which is shown with red dots, bumps or bruising, and enlarged organs, and bone pain. Just to sum up, this shows an actual representation of the white blood cell count in a CML patient in the chronic stage, accelerated stage, and the blast stage.
What do you do to treat CML? There are a variety of options. For example, cytotoxic drugs such as hydrourea and interferon alpha make it difficult to mass produce white blood cells. Another treatment is imatinib. It is one of science's greatest successes. The drug prevents the tyrosine kinase receptor from communicating with other enzymes and proteins to continue dividing. If employed, CML can be cured. An allogeneic stem cell transplant is necessary when a patient is taking imatinib. Because tyrosine kinase is essential for cell division from time to time, the transplant ensures that the patient has the proper white, red, and platelet cells to continue dividing and producing white blood cells correctly.
And that concludes our presentation on chronic myelogenous leukemia.